so today I'm going to show you a really fun dimensional design, and I'm going to be using some of our fruit cocktail charms and then also our art pens. And then once I'm done with the demo, I'm going to kind of break it down and show you how I would price out this design for my clients. So to get started, I've already prepped the natural nail, pushed back the cuticles, removed the shine with my medium sanding band, cleansed the nail with swipe, and then applied 2 coats of protein bond. I also built out my extension onto a form using my Speed Clear acrylic. So that's where we're at this point. So anytime I'm going to be doing a dimensional nail where I'm adding in either glitters or colors or anything really into that nail, I always like to start by adding just a small, very thin, kind of a wet pearl onto that nail area. So what this is going to do is just going to kind of give me a barrier. So when I do put any of those colors or glitters on, it's not going to go all the way down to that natural nail. So when you do decide to change out these designs, you're going to file off that design. Because we have that little bit of a thin layer down below, you're not going to have to file all the way down to that natural nail. So it's going to be a little bit safer for that natural nail by having this little bit of an extra protective layer. Because today I am going to be using some of our art pens, and I want to make sure that I'm using these on a dry acrylic surface. I don't want to be using them on that wet tacky surface. So make sure to go through all of your nails, sculpt them out, and then once they're set, then we can do the next part of our design. Okay, so at this point, all of that acrylic is set enough. So this way I can use my art pens on top of that without it smudging up the acrylic underneath. So I've got a couple of different colors here that I'm going to use, and I'm not going to do anything too wild and crazy or too fancy. I'm just going to do a couple of easy little scribbly lines. You guys, you can do whatever kind of designs you like. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, just kind of adding in a little bit of color. Same kind of thing, just dab off any extra and just kind of fill in some space here. Just adding a little bit of accent to my design. Maybe just a little bit more right through there. So just a couple of little squiggly lines. And you guys, with these art pens, you can do all kinds of different shapes. You can do stars, you can do hearts, you can do all kinds of other fun things, whatever you want to add into your design. I just kind of thought just some little accent colors here is going to be fun for this design. All right, so our art pens are dry. Our design on that is dry. I'm going to grab a couple of different things that I'm going to be working with. So I've got Search Mode is one of our glitters that we're going to be using. This is a bigger, chunkier kind of glitter. And then I'm also going to be using Emotional Standstill, which is a little bit of a smaller glitter. And we're just going to combine those onto our nail here. And then also we're going to be adding in some of our fruit cocktail charms. And I'm actually going to be using some of the flowers, not the fruits today, but just the flowers today. I'm going to grab a few of the flowers here, and I just like to kind of set those either onto my table towel, or if you have a mixing tile, you can use that just to kind of lay those out so that you have them ready to go. It's going to be a little bit easier to pick them up right from here than trying to work directly from the container. All right, so at this point, when we're doing dimensional nails, we want to keep the layers very thin. So if you're going to be adding a few layers, whether it's with the charms, whether it's the glitters, whatever you're using to add dimension, you want to kind of keep those layers thin. So I'm going to come back in with another very thin layer of my Speed Clear, and I'm just going to start that towards the cuticle area, press that down, and just kind of let that run. And just kind of brush that through the length of the nail. Maybe grab just a little bit more. And just kind of capping that design that we've got with the art pens, but then also giving myself an area to set my flowers down into. And just set those down into our nail. Now you guys, when you're working with the charms, a lot of times what I like to do is I'll turn my brush over and use the handle and just kind of press those really well down into that wet acrylic. This way it's going to kind of get down into the acrylic, into kind of the deeper part of that acrylic, so that when we go to cap the nail, we're not going to have to worry about filing any of that off. It's going to be down in that very bottom layer. Okay. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of glitter right around this. Now, if you worked really, really quickly and you got your flowers down in there and your acrylic was still wet, you could go ahead and add that glitter into that layer. But because my product has started to set a little bit more, again, I'm going to grab another little bit of my speed clear and just kind of brush that over wherever I want to add some of that glitter. And then I can just I'm just going to grab one of our art brushes. It's kind of frayed out, but that's okay because it works really well for applying glitter. So I'm just kind of filling in some of those spaces around my flowers. And again, just kind of setting some of those glitters around my flowers wherever I want to fill in some of the space, just to have a little bit of a reflection, a little bit of a sparkle. And again, guys, if you need to, you can again use the handle of your brush if you feel like you want to press those down anymore. Get those really well set down into that acrylic. Okay, so once we have all of our color on there, we've got our glitter on there, we've got our flowers in there. I'm going to come back and now we're going to cap the whole nail. So this is where we're actually going to start to create the structure. And if we look at that nail from the side, you can see that there's not a whole lot of structure to this nail. It's very flat. Even with those layers that we did, we still don't have a lot of structure. So now we're going to need to take our speed clear and build up the arch to that nail. Okay, so again, at this point, now we're pretty much just going to do an overlay on the nail. I'm going to pick up a nice large pearl of, again, my speed clear. I'm going to give that just a second to set, and then we'll set that right at the cuticle. I'm going to press out that cuticle area. I've got the finger angled straight down to the table. That way my acrylic is going to run down the length of the nail, and it's not going to flow into the sides. I'm just going to kind of guide that into place, tapping around my edges, and then I'm just going to kind of blend out that free edge of it, or just that edge of the pearl. So now you can see we've got kind of the start of our arch starting to build up. We've got our cuticle area nice and thin. We've got our a little bit thicker right through that stress area. Now we'll just build up the rest of our extension. Pick up another pearl of our acrylic. This one I am going to drain out just a little bit to kind of slow the movement of it. I'm going to drop my pearl down, blend it back up into that arch. Just kind of blending that product back, and then we'll bring the rest of that down the length of the nail. Now you can tilt that finger straight down, let it flow, or you can come back in and use your brush to start to kind of blend that down the length of the nail a little bit more. Just kind of pressing, pulling that product all the way down the length of the nail, and just capping all of that glitter, all of the flowers, all of our designs, everything that's in that dimensional nail, we're capping that. Now, if I need a little bit more product at my end, I can go ahead and add a little bit more. You guys just be careful that you're not adding too much product, okay? Because you still need to file this. You want your free edge nice and thin and tapered, but you still want a little bit of structure to it. So make sure that if you need to add product, you do. But if you don't need any more thickness, don't, because you're gonna cause yourself to have a little bit more filing to do at the end. So just kind of keep your structure in mind as you're adding, and just see what that shape is looking like, okay? So we'll let this product set up, and then we'll go ahead and file and finish the nail, and then we'll take you through pricing. Okay, so we've got the nail finished, and I actually added on another nail. So we're gonna talk about pricing, and you're gonna see there's gonna be a difference in the price that I'm gonna charge for a nail that's a long stiletto versus something that's a little bit shorter and more active length. But let's start with our full set price. So I'm gonna start with, my full set is gonna be $100, okay? This again, you guys, is the whole set, all 10 nails, okay? And that's just the starting price. So I'm not even taking in consideration the length, the shape, the dimension. I'm not taking into any consideration any of those other add-ons. Our full set is going to start at $100. Now you guys, these are suggestions. If your prices start at $80 or $90, that's great too, okay? Just make sure that you're not undercharging, okay? This is the big point that we want to emphasize. Make sure that you're charging for the work that you are doing. Okay, so let's talk about the different things that we're actually adding on into this design. Okay, so on this nail, let's start with our length and our shape, okay, because we are going to be charging extra for that. On this nail, on our shorter nail, we're not going to charge extra for the length, we're not going to charge extra for the shape, because this short nail that we've got here, it's a square nail, okay? That's kind of my standard when I do my full set pricing, is a square nail and more of an active length. Okay. Once we get into a longer nail and a custom shape, that's where we're going to start charging extra. So we're gonna charge for our shape and our length. So for my shape, I'm doing a stiletto nail. So I'm gonna charge $10 to $20 extra for that shaping, okay? Now because it's a pretty long nail, I'm gonna charge $20 on that extra shaping, okay? And also for stilettos, they are a very custom shape. It does take me a little bit more time to completely straighten out these edges, making sure that everything is structurally correct, making sure that everything is perfectly straight, okay? So that's why I'm gonna go with 20 on that add-on. For the length, again, if it were this length over here, I'm not gonna add anything on. But because we're adding more length to this, I'm gonna charge an additional $10 to $20, again, depending on how long I'm going. Now on something like this, we take a look here. If my nail was gonna be this short, like this one here, that's my full set regular standard price. I'm gonna add on an additional $10 for a long nail and another $10 for an extra long nail. So for my nails, I would say that it was between a long and an extra long. So again, $10 to $20, or if you wanna go right in the middle, $15. I'm gonna stick with the $20 mark, okay? Okay, so we've talked about our length, we've talked about our shaping. Now all of the different dimensions that we're gonna be doing. That's where we really start to add on, okay? Anytime I'm doing a dimensional nail, when I say dimension, I mean the design is in the nail rather than over the surface of the nail. I'm gonna start by charging an additional, again, $10 to $20 per nail for dimension, okay? So let's go dimension. And the reason that we charge extra per nail is because these nails, again, are gonna take more time, they're gonna take more skill, they're gonna take more product because you're doing those layers and you're adding in different things, okay? So you wanna make sure that you are charging an additional for each nail. They're gonna be more time consuming than just maybe a regular solid colored nail, okay? So you do have to charge for your time. Okay, so for our dimension, we're gonna do, and again, you guys, you can do $10 per dimension, you can do $20 per dimension. Let's go ahead and do $20 per nail. Okay, so we're gonna assume just on this full set that maybe she's gonna have one dimensional nail on each hand. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 dimensional nails on the full set. So this is gonna be $40 total because there's 2 dimensional nails, okay? I just wanna clarify something. The price for the full set, the shape, the length, that is all for the full set, okay? When we get to dimensional nails, it's per nail. And then let's talk also about everything that we added in here, okay? What did we add in? We add in art pens, we added in glitters, and we added in our charms. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys, with the design that I did with the art pens, it was quick, it was easy, it wasn't anything that I spent a lot of time really drawing out designs. Maybe if I were to do maybe hearts or stars or, you know, drawing something else out that was a little bit more skillful, then I could charge a little bit higher for that. But because I'm just using something quick and easy, I'm only gonna charge an additional $5 for the art pens, okay? And yes, that is for both colors. Now, could you charge extra for additional colors? You could. Could you charge more for those more in-depth designs? Absolutely, okay? Again, something that's gonna take you a little bit longer to draw on. Again, if you're drawing pictures onto the nail, make sure that you are charging additional for those designs because they are more time consuming. But because I'm doing something fairly easy in my nail, it's gonna be quick and it's easy and I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time and not a whole lot of skill. Let's be honest, I did squiggly lines, okay? The more in-depth, the more intricate your design, the more colors you do use, then I would definitely add an increase to that charge, okay? Now, we also used 2 glitters, okay? So glitters, I charge $5 per glitter. And again, the pens, the glitters, and the charms, that's all for the full set is what I charge for the full set, okay? So I'm charging for 2 glitters, so I use 2 glitters on this nail. So that's gonna be an extra $10, okay? $5 each glitter. Then the charms that I'm using, these are kind of a specialty item. So these are something that I would say you can charge more for because they're not something that everybody's gonna have, okay? If you have maybe a glitter, I think glitters are a little bit more common that people use, so that you may, like we charged here, that you can charge $5 for. For something like the charms that we used here, again, they're a little bit more specialty, so for those I would definitely charge a little bit more. Now again, for a full set, or for both of my dimensional nails, for the charms, I'm going to charge an additional $10. And again, that's the full set. Now, I only did a few on each nail here. If I were going to be doing charms on the whole entire nail and filling that whole nail in with just the charms, then I may again add on a little bit more. So maybe I would do $20 instead of the 10. Okay, so just adjusting how much product you're using, how much the length of the nail is, all of those kind of things, and again, time. All of these things are going to be a factor in how you're charging and how you're upcharging. Okay, so kind of keep those things in mind as you are figuring out your pricing. So we've got all of the different things that we've added in here. Let's get a total of what our nail full set. Again, you guys, this is a full set. It's not just for the one nail, but for the full set. For this full set of long to extra long stiletto shaped nails with dimension, we're going to be charging around $205. Okay, so you guys, we have our total price here. Now, I want you also to remember on our shorter nail, okay, the shorter nail, the more active one, the square shape, that you're not going to be charging the additional shape and length charge. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind. So the $40 here, we're going to take that off the $205 for that shorter straight square nail. Okay, so with removing the shape and the length charge, the shorter nail set would be a total of $165 versus the $205 for our long stiletto nail. Take those suggested prices, make them your own, create your own price list. But you guys, if you don't charge the prices that we're charging here, that's okay. If you don't feel comfortable with that, that's okay. But make sure that you're at least charging something. Make sure you're charging extra for the design. Make sure you're charging extra for the glitters, for the charms, for the design, for the length, for the shape. That way, you're going to spend the proper amount of time and effort, and you're going to be compensated for it. Okay? If you start undercharging and giving your services away, that's where I feel like a lot of people start to get burnt out because they feel like they're not making the income that they should, that they're doing a lot more work that they're not getting paid for. They get frustrated, and like I said, they get burnt out. So again, you guys, make sure that you're charging properly for all of the different things that you do so that you can have a great income, you can support yourself, you can support your family, and be an awesome nail tech. So take these suggestions, create your own prices, and do some great nails.